Please read the disclaimer. XRP holders, could Bitcoin, crypto, XRP, could this all go to zero? A big financial commentator just said that that's a possibility. We'll talk about that. Plus, what did Trump just say about Hormuz and why oil is popping, how that could affect everything that's going on. All I ask from you is that you give me a beautiful smile to send out those good vibes. Smishity smash that like button and let's get into it. Currently, XRP is sitting at $1.36 up flat, right? Up minus 0.02%. Basically, the crypto market is flat right now. Bitcoin is at 75,800. Ethereum at 2,249. Solana at 83. The crypto market is processing what happened last night with the Fed and the last Fed decision speared by Jerome Powell. We'll talk about him in just a second. Not a lot price action wise, but we did have that very interesting crossover there on the 1348 EMA that we got a green, we got the buy, and then we got a red, the signal to sell here. And you can see we went from the top of the stochastic RSI to towards the bottom. The crypto market is kind of confused right now. And where's my button? The roller coaster continues. Whoa, right? I don't know if this is even a fun roller coaster anymore. It's like a boring one. It just, it's like this video here behind me. It's not that wild, right? No loops, right? No upside downs. But that is the current status of the crypto market. I just had a gentleman here to do something in the house. And we were talking, he said, "Oh, you're a content creator?" And I said, "Yeah." And I said, I talk about crypto. He says, "Oh, I don't even, once back in the day, I got some crypto, but I'm not really into it, more stocks." And this just, again, one of the reminder that we're still in the beginning of this revolution, right? Again, another person that I just talked to that doesn't even know what's going on in the crypto market, doesn't know what's happening, doesn't know what's going on with XRP. So I still believe that we are at the beginning of times. But as always, I just want to remind you that this video is for educational purposes, for entertainment purposes only, not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence before you decide to invest. I do not know what the market is going to do day to day. Very important to remember that. Let's get back to the program. So just a last touch on the Powell and the president saying Fed Chair Powell wants to stay at the Fed because he can't get a job anywhere else. No one wants him. Some people in the comment section had some interesting theories about this, talking about how potentially it's because of the DOJ investigation, that if he stays on, that he'll have more backing there, legal wise. I don't know, but it is what it is. Hopefully Kevin Warsh can come in and do a better job. Oil just hit some highs there. We got Brent crude oil passing the $120, but it has pulled back a little bit. You can see a few hours ago it went over 120 for a short period of time, pulled back. Crude oil is up to 108, but also was at 110. And this is the first time since 2022 that actually Brent is went to that 120 level. So you remember we were talking about this. There's all this fear mongering, all this, oh my God, right? But in 2022, oil was at these levels. So it's not like we've never been at these levels before, but it is still concerning, mostly because of what's happening in Asia. They are having a crisis there because the US and Europe gets a lot from gas. US has its own oil production. Asia doesn't. So I'm talking about Eastern Asia. China, Japan, South Korea, right? Those areas that need a significant amount of oil. And most of it was coming from the Strait. So right now there's a blockade and they're not getting anything. And of course, or a lot less from other places. And so that's creating a situation where that is affecting what's happening. Remember, South Korea, big on XRP. If they have significant inflation, if their energy prices skyrocket, then they're going to have less money in their pockets to invest in crypto, to invest in XRP. So again, that could be bad for XRP in the short term, but we'll see what happens with that. Okay. Donald tweeted this out: map that shows the Strait of Trump. Ay, caramba. It's so funny. The president, we'll see. We'll see what happens with this. It was interesting. The gentleman that I had here at my house, so the bomb shelter, you have these like windows that you close and they're fortified, right? They're strong steel. And because they were closed for a long period of time, some birds decided to create a nest there and put some eggs inside where the doors kind of slide in and out, right? These special doors. So I brought a person to put a net and the doors. Uh, why am I talking about this? Because we haven't had to close those windows in a long time because there hasn't been any alarms, any missiles, and hopefully that continues. It seems that the ceasefire will continue. It seems that Trump is done with that phase of the conflict, and now it's just putting financial pressure with the blockade and trying to get the best deal. It doesn't seem that we're going to go back to that shenanigans, but things can change, things can flip. Some people can get angry and do stuff, and so things can change. I always have the monkey on my shoulder. I'm always ready for all types of possibilities in all types of scenarios. Okay, just remember that. Also, I had forgotten to bring this up, but there's a channel here. Someone wrote to me in the comment section that there's a channel that is talking about XRP and is using my voice. Clarity Act markup, a date that aligns with the scheduled Federal Reserve leadership transition. So again, this is not me, although it looks kind of like me a little bit, not really. But I'm surprised that they're using my voice because I do not have a sexy voice at all. They should have found a better voice. And this is not me, of course. There's going to be fake avis out there. Remember, I will never contact you on social media asking you to sign up to anything or to send me anything. Those are scammers, they're imposters. With AI today, you need to be super duper careful. Don't trust anybody. Even if they go ask them to put like their hands in front of their faces to make sure that they're not AI. Or to do, I don't know. You don't even know today. So just be very careful out there again. But I'm not going to be DMing you. I'm not going to sending you friend requests, send you about weird projects. That's not me. Okay. Just be very careful out there. Now let's move on to Peter Schiff. And he said here, Peter Schiff says Bitcoin will crash close to zero, right? Now, Peter has been anti-crypto, anti-Bitcoin for a while. He's very pro-gold. And, gold has been doing amazing. So he can't be, too sad about that. He's been patting himself on the back for a while because the crypto market and specifically Bitcoin has been lagging and gold had been pumping. And now he has said in interviews that he had the opportunities to buy Bitcoin early on and he didn't. And so many people will criticize him and say that he's salty about it, but he is very adamant that he thinks that Bitcoin is going to close to zero, right? Now, okay, let's talk about this. There's been many times in history where people have talked about crypto market and said it's going to go to zero and there's no value behind it. And yet there's huge companies, BlackRock, Fidelity, Schwab, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, all these big financial institutions that are investing in the crypto market, creating ETFs. It's not going to zero, right? They would not, first of all, they're not going to let it go to zero. They're not going to let it. The fact is that it's gonna become scarcer and scarcer with the halvings, and there's only a finite amount of Bitcoin out there. So there's no possible scenario. Could it drop that it goes to be worthless? Could it drop in price? Yes, there's always the possibility that it continues to drop in price, that we could go down to 50,000. And even, Benjamin says here, when we look back, when Gensler left the SEC in January 25, Bitcoin was at 109, right? Today, it's at 75,000. One major reason the crypto market has suffered is because the market participants started to lose faith in the industry itself. I don't think so. I think I disagree with Benjamin in this sense. I think that October 10th was a shock for many retail investors. Institution investors, I don't think, lost the faith in the crypto market. They just saw that there might be some flaws from a price action standpoint of view. Crypto investors, many of them jumped over to the stock market because it was rallying. And then, of course, we had the conflict and it sold off, but then it rallied again. And so I think that's where we lost a lot of people along the way. I don't think that people lost faith really in the industry. There's always been scams. There's always been things that are happening. He says after Gensler left, it essentially just opened the floodgates to grifting age of crypto, where influencers and politicians were launching meme coins and rug pulling their followers each and every day. That was happening before, right? So I don't think that happened right after Gensler, left. I think that there was maybe more high profile, like the president and the in Argentina, for example. But I don't think that that was not going on before, right? Without fear of any repercussions, maybe that. But there hasn't been that many. I don't think there's a lot more than there was before. Maybe I'm mistaken, and I'm not. I'm not hearing about many of these, rug pullings, but um, I know the big ones, of course, the Trump ones, but still, it's not a rug pull. It's just that people decided to sell it off. There was a hype around it, and people decided to sell it off. Yes, was there maybe things that weren't as people thought or wasn't as promised? Yes, and you could say maybe that is but you could also say maybe people are looking at this right now, and because the SEC is soft on crypto, that they're doing more shenanigans, and that's why maybe people are losing their faith. But before there was before that, right, let's say 2017, there wasn't any they weren't going after crypto then. It just started. So, and prices rallied. So I don't accept this as an excuse. Okay. And he says this led to a massive misallocation of capital into useless assets that drain liquidity from the industry. That could be. That could be. And again, October 10th drained a lot of liquidity from the market as well. And that's maybe why we've seen the crypto market, and especially Bitcoin, detach from the M2, although Bitcoin didn't suffer too much on October 10th. But I've told you this before. I think that the unraveling that happened later was because when a big market maker got hit significantly and they needed to sell some of their Bitcoin or a significant amount of their Bitcoin in order to cover that. And that started creating liquidations and sell-offs and things that we've experienced over the last 6 months. While people celebrated Gensler leaving, it actually marked a turning point in the industry, with Bitcoin only marginally going higher before entering a bear market. Now that people celebrate Powell's removal as chair of the Federal Reserve, it makes him think about history will repeat itself once again. People celebrate in short term, but as we look back on this era in a few years, he imagines it will mark a major turning point in credibility at the Fed. If the Fed just becomes another cabinet of the executive branch, it may lead to lack of trust in the institution itself. Perhaps many will look back at a few years and realize that the markets were better off with Powell than without him. Again, hindsight is always 2020. I still think truly that the second timeline with Trump would, if Trump wasn't president, would have been a lot worse for the crypto market. With Gary Gensler still in office, would have we had the extreme movements up and down in the crypto market? Probably not, but the market would not be where it is today. I think that it would have been even more aggressive to the downside. There wouldn't have been any of these interest rates that would have been down, and we wouldn't have had the pumps that have brought, for example, XRP to these levels that we are right now. Remember, we were at 50 cents, even below that, before President Trump came into office. If the SEC case would have continued to go on and there would have been a different president in the White House, XRP could be at 30 cents right now or 20 cents right now. So we're in a much better situation. And also, I believe the rest of the crypto market. There were many factors. Again, I still think that the interest rates is a significant factor to why we didn't move significantly in October of 2025. But we don't know what could have happened and should have happened, and we don't know what is going to happen in the future. So again, every single investment that we do is speculation. We're speculating on what could potentially happen here, and it will be very interesting to see how this plays out in the next coming years. I'm still very bullish on the crypto market. I'm still a long-term investor, but I'm also invested in other things. I'm also looking at other things, and in other situations. And for example, the stock market did very good recently, but we're having a interesting situation right now. Remember, I told you last night that some of the biggest companies in the world were reporting earnings. And the Magnificent Seven just reported the biggest revenue surge in stock market history. Google nearly doubled what Wall Street expected. EPS came in at 511 against estimate of 2.63, a 94% beat. Revenue hit 100 billion against an estimate of 107. And the Google jumped. Microsoft beat every expectation. Amazon had one of the biggest EPS beats of any company in the size of years. And Meta also beat every single Wall Street numbers, but actually went down. But significant amount of money continues to go into these top assets. And you can see here, big tech just ended the AI bubble debate. Q1 2026 cloud earnings released today, and you had these huge amounts of cloud earnings. Microsoft, Google, Meta. Meanwhile, right, OpenAI reportedly missed Q1 internal targets, and that's why we saw some of the chip stocks pulling back a few days ago. The infrastructure layer is printing, and the application layer is sweating, right? So this is interesting to see how this revolution plays out. And again, remember, a lot of money has been flowing into the stock market, especially into the big dogs over the past few months. And that is another reason why potentially we've seen the crypto market, lag a little bit, because all this money is going into the stock market. And so it's a multiple factors of things why the crypto market has been so weak. But I still think that Clarity Act will be the thing that lets us get to the next level. So we'll see how that plays out. As always, don't forget to check out the links in the description down below. Drop a comment, 8 for infinity and beyond, or whatever your heart desires. And let me know what you think is going to happen coming forward. And don't forget to smash that like button. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you next time. And like I always say, let's make a lot of money.